sex. It's a topic that when we speak of relationship, intimate relationship, couplehood, we definitely cannot ignore our sexuality. It is an intricate, important part of couplehood. I cringe when I hear couples coming together and saying that they've never explored sex together and they're committing to life. Because sex is it can make or break the relationship, but it is not the foundation of the relationship. And to add to that, we have to realize that sex and love aren't the same thing. We want it to be the same thing, especially in couplehood. We want our sex to be love. That's why we say, make love. I want to make love to my partner. But sex and love, they're not the same. Why do I say this? Why is this topic even here today? Well, the topic of when sex goes bad in couplehood, it's just right there on the table for me in every way possible. And the one thing that I've noticed over the course of the last couple months in working with so many couples, and even over the course of almost 2 decades of being an intimacy, a relationship coach, and working on these matters, and it's attachment, it's a fear of abandonment, of course, our sexuality, right? Intimacy. And we even use the word intimacy as though it is focused on sex, but here we go. Intimacy and sex are not the same thing. We can have sex and not be intimate with somebody. I mean, that is very prevalent in our world today, where we have a hookup culture and we just go and we can get it. Sex is easy to come by. What we want in intimacy or in love making, right, is to really be seen. And our Western definition of the word intimacy is, into me, you see. Into me, you're going to see. I'm going to give you every little aspect of myself, and I'm revealing it to you. I'm sharing it with you. I want you to hold space for me. I want you to really, really be able to identify with me. Love me. Tell me that you want me. Tell me that you desire me. Tell me that you're there for me. Tell me that you're everything for me. Into me, you're going to see all this vulnerability. And we talk a lot. I mean, the hot words of today are transparency, vulnerability, sovereignty, right? Freedom to have these things. The issue with our sex and couplehood especially is that often we find ourselves in a state of, I love my partner, but I'm not in love with my partner. And I hear this a lot. They are my best friend. They are this, they are that. That's beautiful. We often think that our partners are our best friends. But that's another subject, another day. Often that's not true, because we tend to not want to reveal ourselves at those levels. And then we get caught in this world of, well, I should be fully transparent. I should be fully vulnerable. I should. And all that shoulding, much like shoulding always does, causes a muck in the relationship. And here's where the sex goes wrong, where it goes bad in relationship, is that we should all over around our vulnerability, around transparency, around this thought that this person that we love should be our everything. And we don't recognize that that's a really tall order for that other person and for ourselves. there is multiple things going on within any one of us human beings at any time, emotionally, psychologically, our physical needs, our psychological needs, our emotional needs, all of that, our time needs, our financial needs, our need for security, safety, to be wanted though, right? To know that we're wanted, we're desired, that we're approved of. At the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for approval. And people can argue with me on this and say, I don't need other people's approval. I'm good with who I am. I'm good right here. I don't need to feel wanted or desired or approved of by anybody else. And I'm going to just say, that's bullshit. Okay? It is. It is. Hey, Mega. Good morning to you. It is definitely what we desire, why we are in relationship, especially in today's world where relationship is not based on survival. It is based on desire. We desire to be in relationship, and we desire to be in relationship so that we feel alive, we feel seen, and we feel wanted, approved of. We feel connection. Relationship, if we go back in time, and we don't even have to go that far, we can go back to just the mid 1900s and a little bit further back, like the 1920s, the turn of that century, right? And if we look at that, what is relationship? It is about survival for both sexes and for family, right? Now, today, it's all desire-based. The sexes don't technically need each other for survival. And we're all focused on, like, we don't need 12 kids. We can do it with 1 or 2 kids or no kids. It's all okay, right? Financially, stability-wise, women have a lot of equality in the world, and it is ever growing and expanding. So we're not dependent 100% on a counterpart, on a man, our partner, our husband, to provide for us in any fashion. We can do it on our own. Even if that means that we're working 2 or 3 jobs, we can still do it on our own. And a lot of women today make more than their male partners. So, how does the sex go bad in this? I mean, if it's all desire-based and we get with somebody and we're in couplehood because it is desire-based, we want to be with that person, it's not because we need them for something, then how possibly can the sex go astray? How can it turn bad? I could talk on this subject for hours. I could probably do a whole workshop on it, in truth, a weekend-long workshop for couples and singles, because there's so many intricacies to this. But I can tell you that the biggest thing that happens is that we turn ourselves off in relationship, and we do it without realizing it. And here's why we turn ourselves off. We turn ourselves off because of the vulnerability, the transparency, the connection, the concept that this other person needs to show up and be connected and present with us and all about us and us all about them, locked in like this with no breathing room. So we put out our own fire of desire with closeness. And it is proven over and over again that desire needs space. Okay? So desire needs space. And what do? We don't give the space. Just like a fire. If we put a whole bunch of dirt on top of the fire, then it's going to just smolder and there can be no flames. Well, the same is true with desire. So here we get into relationship based on desire. I find this person and I'm sexually attracted to them and I'm turned on by who they are as a person. They're intelligent. They make me think. There's a challenge. There's playfulness. There's joy. There's ease in the relationship. It's just never been so good. And I desire them. And I desire to be so close to them all the time. That's great on the front side. You move in, you get close, life starts to set in. The realness of the relationship sets in. The closeness that felt so good now puts the flames of desire out. And you find yourself saying, I love them, but I don't desire them like I used to. I know he, she loves me, cares for me, but I don't feel like they really want me. I feel, and this is a statement that was recently made to me, when he comes to me and wants me to have sex, I don't feel like he wants me. I feel like he wants me to want him. That's the issue, is that so often both partners are wanting to be wanted, wanting to be desired, but both have turned themselves off. And here's the thing, our partner does not turn us off, okay? Our partner does not, they're not turning us off. What is turning us off is this lack of space between. There's no breathing room in the couplehood. What is turning us off is the worry, the concern, the anxiety, the stress. That stuff turns us off. It is absolutely impossible to be passionate and full of anxiety, to have desire and anxiety and stress. It's impossible to be joyful and fun, playful, and at the same time worrisome. If we are stuck in worry, if we are stuck in fear, if we are stuck in anxiety, the erotic is obsolete. And when we choose, because here's the thing, worry, fear, anxiety, stress, and take it from me, I tell you, I deal with all of those big time. I've written on it and spoke on it in the past about my struggles with anxiety in my youth, and then how they will get triggered and rise up here and there. It shuts me down. And when I say the word eroticism, right? And yes, you might say, ooh, the erotic, right? Eros, that's sexual energy. And then that could be a turnoff. That could be a trigger right there. By me saying sexual energy, it can be a trigger. And you can be like, oh, that's not safe. That's not safe. Now I'm fearing that if I feel erotic, if I feel turned on, if I feel sexual, that's not safe. That's not okay. And us women, we suffer from this a lot, don't we? We always have. It's never safe for a woman to say that she feels sexual. And I don't care how our world ever evolves. I don't know if we're ever going to make it through this. A woman being erotic, feeling sexual turn on is just a red flag of danger, danger, danger. And our feminist movement has tried to develop that and make it where women can be sexual creatures, but in truth, it's sent everything the wrong direction. It's made us shut down and abuse ourselves, rape ourselves in so many ways. I'm going to share just a real quick story with you on that note, and then I'll come back to eroticism and sexuality and all of that. But I was privy to overhear a conversation just yesterday between a couple young women, and one woman, she says, I just tapped into my inner slut, and she's like, I just tapped into my inner slut, and I just did this and I did that. And her friend's like, oh, like that, and then there's this whole conversation around the inner slut. And my partner and I, we were talking about it just this morning, I think it was. And we're like, is there some sort of like some badge of honor in the concept of tapping into your inner slut? And on my drive home from dropping my kids off and stuff, I've just been like bouncing around with this in my head and going, badge of honor around sluttiness. And then I've thought back to, I've been doing a lot of unpacking of my own shit from my past over the last few months, and just really getting into it and this concept. And I remember a few years back where that statement could have been coming out of my mouth of like, yeah, I just tapped into my inner sluttiness, and this happened and that happened. And almost like it's like, yeah, like that's my freedom. That's my right. That's my joy. That's my this, that's my that. And I can tell you, I feel deeply saddened for these two young women, because somewhere down the road, hopefully, they will reach a point of self-respect and love, honor, dignity to go, wow, that's not honoring of the self. That's not honoring of my sexuality, of my female energy, of my natural state of eros, of who I want to be. It's not empowering. There's a meme that used to, and I might have even used it through the years, probably did. If we went back through the last 10, 12 years on Facebook, we could probably find this meme. But it's, I'm not a slut, you're just uncomfortable with my sexuality. It's something on that lines. And I was thinking of that meme this morning, and I'm going, yeah, I think that the problem here is that us women, over the course of forever, that danger of a woman being tapped into her sensuality, tapped into her sexuality, different things, tapped into eros, which is life force energy, creative energy. We have westernized, in our Western culture, have taken the word eros itself and turned it just into sex and dealing with sex. But if we look back through history, and we look back through the writings and the teachings around eros, it is creative energy. It is life force energy. It is what just evolves everything. It's not slutty. It's not demeaning. It's not about just giving it up. And it's not about sex. It's about joy. It's about play. It's about connection. It's about empowerment. It's about just being alive, right? Eros is about feeling alive. I tend to question if these two that I shared the story on, if they feel alive. Truly. What I believe is that in all of us, there is a desire for stability and safety, and there is a desire for adventure and something that's just not quite, playing by the rules, which is where affairs come into play, which is where the flirting can come into play, which is where using different, it's like little kids, take a small child, might have a 6 and an 8-year-old, and they think that the F word is just, ooh, why do they think that this word, why do they get such joy out of flinging out the F word? You know why? Because they gain freedom in that. Yes, there is a reprimand for it, right? There is always a cause and effect going on. But what ends up happening is they go, ooh, I throw out this word, or I pick on my sibling, or I do this. And there's a joyfulness in it. And it's because they're tapping into freedom, that sense of, I get to make a decision for myself here. Maybe it's not the right decision. Maybe there's a repercussion from it, but I'm making a decision. I'm not doing it based on this, what mom said, what dad said, what so-and-so, what da. I'm not doing it based on. I'm doing it because I can, and I am making a choice for myself. Well, move that into adulthood. Guess what? We're not far removed from the 6 and 8-year-olds on this. This is something that we can't escape either. This is human nature, okay? You can argue with me on it all damn day long if you so choose, and I encourage you to go take some psychology classes and some human behavior classes, because it's like that. This is reality. We want freedom, and when we feel that our freedom is being taken away, it pushes us to do bad things, do not right things. It's funny, I was listening to a fellow relationship, intimacy, sexuality therapist. And she was talking about in the US, and I wrote this down to get her quote perfect here. In the United States, there seems to be a lot of tolerance around divorce and very little tolerance around infidelity. Okay? Most of the world that is more family oriented than the United States has opted the other direction. They do things everything opposite. They focus on preserving family at all costs and compromising wherever it needs to be in the couplehood. Now, the sad thing here is that mostly that is the woman compromising, okay? That's what we see around the world, where family takes precedent and everybody really focuses in on having that stability and that family right there, that unity. In the United States, we are progressive, right? Like we're all Californians, and coming from the California girl, right? We're all progressive. And what does that mean? It means that we will hop relationships sooner than we will work on difficult conversations. And I bring up infidelity, but that's just because infidelity is one of those things that so many people deal with, right? It is very common in today's world, and it is very spoken of, and it is one of the main contributing factors to divorce and separation, to breakups, is infidelity. We just go, oh, you cheated on me, or I view that as cheating, right? And infidelity can be a whole bunch of things. It can be anywhere from the work wife and husband to he's watching porn. I know a couple couples that view masturbation as infidelity, and then there is the actual physical act of infidelity, and anywhere in between, right? Which coming together in sexual union with another person, and it being this breach of love, of commitment, of all this different stuff. And we could go down a whole path on that. And I could say there's 1,000,001 reasons. It depends on the person as to why they chose to cheat, why they chose to do this, to act outside of the relationship. And there's, it's like, how do you overcome it? Well, United States Western way is we don't overcome it. We don't talk about it. I get pissed off. I don't take responsibility for my side of this. I don't take responsibility for the fact that we grew apart, we smothered each other, and that caused us to grow apart, not in a healthy way. But instead of supporting each other, instead of conversing, instead of going deep with each other, instead of surrendering into the difficult conversations, into the heart space, into the coming back together, into the eros, into the romance. Romance, eros, it's not just for the dating process. It's for the relationship if we want to have modern love, which means that we put everything into this other person and they put everything into us, and we are united as a team, just the two, without any outside influences. Now, for those of you who are in polyamorous, open, swinging lifestyle, all right, that's a whole nother topic. I'm talking to monogamous people right this very second, which still makes up the majority of relationship, okay? So disregard, because I can hear people already going, oh, but Kendal, I have 3 lovers, and that's why I have 3 lovers, and there's an array of issues that come up there, and I can tell you that the difficult conversations still need to play a part, and that if our union of intimacy, and not into me, you see, but true intimacy, which is a coming together of the hearts, a intelligence of eros, of our sensuality, of our sexuality, of our emotional connection, and how that plays out into our sex, and how it can be so hindered, dampened, smothered, destroyed when we allow for all these other things to play a role and not anticipate for it to show up in our sex. We can't compartmentalize everything. We can't. We want to. It would be so easy if we could just say, here is my sex, and here is my work, and here is my relationship with my kids, and here is this, and here is that. That's what we think we should be able to do. Not the case. If we are having challenges with our children, if we are having stresses with our finances, if we are worried about our health, that plays a role in our sex, in our intimate relationship with our partner. It starts to shut things down. Because guess what? And here's where sex goes wrong in couplehood. Women, you'll be able to understand this. Men, you probably will too, because I know that there's plenty of men out there that's detached sexually, connectively, armor up, put their heart to the side. It's just going through the motions. And that's where the sex goes wrong in couplehood, is when it is about going through the motions, when the love is taken out of it. And remember, what I started this whole conversation on was saying that sex and love aren't the same thing. We can have sex and we don't have to be in love or love someone else. Hence our hookup society of today. But in couplehood, what we want is for the sex and the love to be together. And good sex, gourmet sex, sex that recommits each partner to each other, that's the sex where the heart is in the game, where we have invested our deepest aspect of self, where we are finding our freedom in the commitment instead of the desire for something else because we feel so smothered. If we want for that sex to be expansive and connective on that level, then we have to go here. We have to go here. And that doesn't happen initially in the bedroom. That happens in the difficult conversations. That happens in the connection, the communication, the surrender to allowing each other to be individuals, and yet having goals, plans, ideas, desires for the future, and to be able to speak those, to be able to hold the space for whatever needs to come up in those moments. If we can't have those conversations and then find joy, find fun, find play, because that's what has to happen. If we keep it always so just locked down into the serious, into the mind, right? And that's what happens in our sex when it goes bad. I can guarantee you, and women, we do this, right? Guys, you do this. It is, I'm worried about something, but I'm going to give you my body anyway. Not going to feel the sex. Not going to be in it. I can make some noises. I can have some actions. I'm going to just fake it to get through this, to keep the connection there. But my heart is not in it. My emotions aren't in it. I'm just showing up physically for this act. And that's what it is it's a physical showing up, is an act, as though we are in character in that moment. And I can tell you 80% of relationships experience this consistently. Okay? And then they end up on my couch going, I want him, I want her to get fixed. I want more sex. I want longer sex. I want more playful sex. I want more adventure. I want. And I need him or her, my partner, to be the one to fix it. I need them to get their shit in order. It never works. It's the internal self game that we have to go to. That's how we fix our sex. That's how we make our sex right. That's how we make intimacy right. That's how we come back together as a couple. That's how we build commitment. That's how we build faith in each other. That's how we build trust. As long as we finger point at the other person and say, well, if he or she did, if they would just recognize, if they would just change, if they, what ends up happening is we are the victim. And you'll never get out of that victim state as long as you choose to be the victim, as long as you're pointing outward. It is figuring out where you have turned yourself off, where you have said no to your own sexual intelligence, your own sensual feelings, your own eros. Where are you saying no to your own eros? Where are you saying, that's not okay? It's not okay for me to feel this, to desire my partner at this level, to want for, to feel whatever it is. It's not okay for me to really enjoy, name it, because I've experienced it probably myself, and I've seen it in so many couples where sometimes the simplest of things of, I felt guilty and had to, and I started to worry about having a glass of wine when my partner wasn't around. And yes, I have heard this. This was actually something that came up a couple weeks ago, where somebody told me that they felt guilty as though their partner was upset with them because they chose to have a glass of wine when their partner was not physically there. And they were concerned about what the upheaval was. So they started to worry about that and just focus in on it. And that put them up here into the head space. And now they're just like up in the head space, up there, up there, up there. And guess what? They're giving their body for the sex, but they don't feel the heart and they don't feel their partner. And they're like, well, I just need him or her. I need him or her to show up. I need them to be more present with me. I need them to get better in their skills, get better in the game. I need them to court me more. I need them to do these things so that I can feel them. And yes, there are plenty of people out there who need to develop their skill set, develop their presence level. Those are things that definitely need to happen for a lot of people. But I can tell you that over 90% of the time, when we feel that we are disconnected with our partner, it is us that is disconnected. It is us up in our mind. And we are, like I said, passion and stress, anxiety cannot reside together. Okay? They will never show up together. We are not going to have a passionate relationship. We are not going to feel turned on, sensual, creative, as long as we are stressed the fuck out. As long as we are caught in worry and fear, we will not have fun, joy, peace, happiness, creative flow. We will not. They do not operate together. And what is our world full of right now? If we're going to bed with worry around outside stuff or inside stuff or our couplehood, then we are choosing to turn ourselves off. We are saying no to eros. We are saying no to intimacy. We are saying no to our own surrender, to our hearts, and thus to our partners. And if they are doing the same thing, well, now you've got two turned off switches that are trying to figure how to turn on the relationship, how to reconnect the relationship, and pointing the fingers like this, going, well, if they did, yeah, no, it's not a they, it's a you. So today I'm going to close it out with, if this speaks to you, because I got the sun and I think I see somebody saying, totally speaks to me in so many ways. If this speaks to you, if you've experienced it, if you're in it, look no further than your own inner realms. Look no further than how you've turned yourself off. Where are you saying no to feeling your heart, to dropping that armor, to surrendering to what you desire the most, which is connection, which is to be desired, to be wanted for, to experience eros. Have the intelligence enough around this subject and realize that you've got to get out of here, get out of the worry, get out of the stress, get out of the anxiety, get out of the fear, get out of the what if land, and go, I need to trust myself. I need to trust my heart and allow myself to have the freedom to connect with this person that I love and that I want to be in love with and that I was in love with and that I was wanting for and that I was desiring for. And if you just give yourself the permission to say yes to you and to your desire, which is way down there. Remember that fire, the coals are still there. You just smothered it by not allowing there to be enough space to communicate, to find joy, to find the adventure, which is your partner, that adventure in your partner, that adventure in your life, that adventure in your plans, your goals, your dreams, your desires. There's an adventure there, but you've got to be able to tap into it. And the only way you're going to be able to clear the ground and clear it out and be able to breathe some air on that fire of desire and passion and connection and all that yummy, juicy, good stuff that we really crave with our partners, the only way we can do that is to give ourselves permission to feel it. And that means out of here, out of stress, out of anxiety, out of fear. 80% of what we fear never happens. We lose our future by fearing our future. We lose our present moment by fearing tomorrow. And that is probably the most unloving thing that we can do for ourselves. And it is most certainly the most unloving thing that we can do for our couplehood, for our partners, for those that we say that we cherish, that we would do anything for. So I ask you today to ask yourself, where am I turning myself off? Where am I saying no to feeling good? And what can I do to say yes? On that note, if you're local, lots of workshops coming up. Check it out, watch for it, get on my newsletter list to find out about it. If I've said anything in this live stream here today that's touched you, made you think of somebody that might want to hear it, needs to hear it, is having a struggle in their relationship, hit the share. Thank you for all your loves, your likes, your comments, your shares, and I'm here for you. If you're a couple, a single who wants to work through some of these challenges, working through infidelity perhaps even, I have a whole recovery program based just on that, and how to tap into that land of erotic intelligence, which is power for the relationship, which prevents infidelity. Okay? I love you guys. As always, remember, you are worthy of a phenomenal relationship, of a passionate relationship, of your soulmate, of feeling love, being in love, feeling desire, worth, respect, connection, unity, commitment, all those good things. Remember that. And as always, stop existing, start living, and I will catch you on another live stream another day. Bye, everybody.